Let's go! We got some bad Korey Foreman news to get to, plus one former five-star who might not be going to LSU. But first, the bad breaking news here, the NaQuan Brown, four-star defensive end, has decommitted from LSU only just a few days after Anthony Hundley has decommitted from LSU. And you begin to wonder, was it intentional? Did they have a change of heart? I'm going to let you decide that. But if you look at it from afar, LSU looks pretty good at defensive end with Landon Jackson, Savion Jones, who I actually think will play defensive tackle. But you have two other defensive end types in this class as well, with Keonte Colt and Xavier Carter. B.J. Ojulari's at LSU for 2 more years. You still have Philip Webb in the wings. So you're looking pretty good at that position. And in particular, just one positive tidbit before we get into the negative stuff. I love me some Keonte Colt. I really, really love this kid. 6'4", 215, all in on LSU, and hopefully he is a B.J. Ojulari type of player. So, if you like die-hard LSU recruiting, but more importantly, LSU football analysis, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, because it's a road to 2K, baby! Now, back to the negative. Rashad Davis. What is going on with Rashad Davis? Will not be signing early with LSU here in a few weeks. Maybe he has a change of heart before then, but it's not looking too good for that. And that's not good, considering Rashad Davis has been the one that has not only been recruited to LSU for quite some time, he's also been the one in the group chats recruiting all these other LSU players. He's also been the one recruiting Korey Foreman to LSU. And it's not looking good right now for LSU. Maybe Elias Ricks, his former teammate, can throw some positive vibes Rashad Davis's way. But this is a young man who really has been at the center of this recruiting class for quite some time. And if you go to his profile, a former 5-star composite player, now barely outside of a 5-star ranking on the 247 composite. And on top of that, this is what I wanted to point out right here. He's been committed to LSU for quite some time, since New Year's Day. So this is before the National Championship Day game when he decided to commit to LSU. Now, Korey Foreman time, okay? And I want you to really think about recruiting from, I guess you could say, a macro level. So, for those that don't know, 247 Sports reports that Korey Foreman has canceled his LSU visit. And he was supposed to make another visit to LSU this week. That's not happening. And that's not good, because he's already made 2 visits, one for the Tiger turnout, one for the Mississippi State game, and he's had, obviously, a change of heart regarding LSU. If he really wanted to go to LSU, he probably would have made the visit. That doesn't mean that LSU is out of this race altogether, but it's not a good sign whatsoever. Now, we'll get to Maason Smith in a moment, but for right now, just focus on Korey Foreman. This is a guy who could play defensive end or defensive tackle. And every time LSU gets a top 5 nationally ranked recruit, they turn out pretty well, whether it be Leonard Fournette. He would be the first Korey Foreman national number 1 player from the 247 composite that would be committing to LSU. So, yeah, that sucks. His official visit is no longer to Baton Rouge. And now you take a look at the schools. Looks as if this is trending towards Clemson or Georgia or even USC. And I think a lot of people would have USC as the leader right now. He is announcing his commitment on January 2nd, but he's actually going to sign during the early period. But I want to talk about recruiting as a whole. Remember, this recruiting cycle is different than any other recruiting cycle than we ever have before. And every time I mention the pandemic, we have a freak out over the pandemic in the comment section. I'm not discussing viruses in the comment section, okay? I'm just letting you know that you have to rationally think about things, okay? If you're a recruit, this pandemic has changed everything. It's changed your life. It's changed mine. And for a lot of people, family and proximity to your family is obviously very, very important. And you look at guys like Rashad Davis, Derek Davis, Garrett Dellinger, who you should worry just a little bit. I still think he's going to LSU, but just a little bit. I worry about guys like that because you're no longer within driving distance of your family during these troubling times. So you could say, well, fake news or whatever. I'm just letting you know that recruits have to factor that into their evaluation. Something else, and while this may not be something that you like to hear, I'm telling you what you need to hear, okay? All this off-the-field mess for LSU is hurting them way more than the actual product on the field. Because guess what? When recruits see teams stink, that's actually a good thing because that tells them that they could play right away, okay? So what's happening off the field with the sexual assault allegations and what has happened at LSU over the past few years and the negative press and every recruit being more socially aware. Our younger generation is more socially aware because they have a supercomputer in their hands. And I want you to look down at my little square. These phones, negative information travels way easier than positive information. So whether or not you want to discuss that, whether or not you want to discuss the losing of scholarships, whether or not you want to discuss people siphoning money from a hospital to give to LSU recruits, which happened with Vidal Alexander, which is why you're losing the scholarships to begin with, whether or not that's not what you want to hear, you need to hear it because guess who's hearing it? Recruits. And they're not only reading it on these phones that they have with them at all times. Don't you think the coaches from the other schools whose job it is to negatively recruit other schools are bringing that up to kids that are considering LSU? You better believe it. Because recruiting, there are no morals. There are no no-goes when it comes to that discussion. And think about this. The most important person in a recruit's recruiting process is not you, it's not me, it's not even them or the coaches or the schools. It's the mothers. And don't you think mothers don't want to hear what they've been hearing from LSU? Don't you think mothers hate to hear about some of the stuff that has happened? So whether or not you want to hear that, some of you have probably already shut off the video. That is just hard truth. Now, let's discuss Maason Smith for a little bit because he is a big deal to this recruiting class. The nation's #1 overall player, according to Rivals. Obviously, the #1 player in Louisiana, a 5-star, number 18 overall player national, according to 247's composite. Like I said in our recruiting video yesterday, Maason Smith and Korey Foreman want to play together. Now, is that a deal breaker for either of them? Probably not. But if Korey Foreman is no longer liking Baton Rouge, the more likely destination for both of them to land up would be Georgia. Okay? And, it's not out of the equation. I know we're used to Alabama coming into Louisiana's backyard and getting some good players. I mean, they already have Kane Williams in this class from Louisiana. Georgia has done pretty well in Louisiana as well. Just a few years ago, they got Cedric Van Pran, a really good offensive lineman out of New Orleans who, could be helping out LSU a lot right now. It sucks. So Georgia is very much on Maason Smith's radar here, and obviously Alabama will always be. And losing Maason Smith to an SEC West rival, and we've discussed this before, if Maason Smith decides to go to Clemson or Ohio State, it doesn't hurt you as bad as if these recruits decide to go to another SEC West school. And that's obvious because you'd have to play that SEC West school and that player every single year. So now some positive news on the offensive line. Jordan Mocco out of Australia could be LSU's answer at offensive tackle. The JUCO market's been good to LSU in recent years, and the transfer market as well. Your starting center is a transfer. Arguably your best offensive lineman for 2019, Damian Lewis, was a JUCO transfer, and Damian has played well for Seattle in his first year as a rookie. So this could be your best case scenario, getting another offensive tackle in this class that LSU's already put in a lot of work to get him. So let me know what you think of this recruiting video. Obviously, it's not edited super sharp like some of our other videos, but that NaQuan Brown story was breaking news. Comment below, and let's go. Come on, it's power hour. LSU. Come on, Ed Orgeron, I believe in you. Let's go. God, what's on the menu tonight? I think we're doing quesadillas? No, fajitas? I don't know. Ugh.